Hello everyone, greetings to all of you. This is Arivu again with my another video. So today's class actually continuation of the previous class. In my last class also we have discussed the topic Long Walk to Freedom, written by Nelson Mandela. So the sequel of it, that is the continuation of that part here continues, because the chapter is very lengthy, so that to avoid boredom, just I have split the entire chapter into three parts, and the first one that I have released earlier, and this is going to be the second part of it. So earlier in the last class we have seen that the political system, that is apartheid, and the impact of it, how it caused a great pain in the minds of the black people, and what sort of white supremacy prevailed in South Africa, and the other things like how this man Nelson Mandela was elected the first black president of the country, and also we have seen his the inauguration address. And so up to that I have concluded in the first part, and so here we continue from that part, right? So after his address in the inauguration ceremony, right, what happened? So that is what we are going to see here in this video, right? After that inauguration address delivered by Nelson Mandela, the first part is over, and from there we are going to start the second one. Let's see. So here firstly I want to describe this 6 points clearly to you. So let's start here. The first one, it is the formation of jets, helicopters of South Africa, right? Soon after this, Nelson Mandela completed his address to the gathering, and the entire world watching for the great inauguration ceremony. He addressed that address. The speech was very diplomatic. In that address, he used the words like to express the grievance and the deep pain from the minds of the black. Also, the optimistic view for the future, how the liberalized society is going to be, what is his ultimate objective as a president. He explained everything clearly. That is, he looked forward for a liberal society with the people recognizing the freedom and the rights of everyone, irrespective of the color of their skin, irrespective of their cultural background, irrespective of their financial background, anything. So after that, soon after the completion of his address, what happened? That is, the defense, the military, paramilitary, police, everybody they have organized for exhibiting their processions, even during our Republic Day and Independence Day, we generally have the exhibition, the people from all the three defense, army, navy, and the other side. Everybody gather there to exhibit their talents, and what are the plans they have come out with. That will be exhibited. That will be displayed. Even the Air Force, they use their jets, helicopters, and other things, and they form different formations in the skies, and they make an attractive display. So same thing happened here too. So the jets and helicopters of the military, they formed different formations, right? And it was so spectacular, it was so impressive, and also it is not only organized, right? It is not only organized like an ordinary procession, but that impressive display was like exhibiting the loyalty of military towards the new democratic government, towards the new liberal government formed. So he obviously enjoyed this. Nelson Mandela obviously enjoyed the scenario there over there. And also next, the higher commanders, the generals, and the other higher officials, everybody was there right in front of the black president, and they saluted him, and they pledged for their loyalty towards the government, the newly formed government. At the very moment, Nelson Mandela thought for a while, right? What is that? Some years ago, what happened? The same commander, the same police officials, they arrested him for protesting or for struggling against the political system. Right? The same officers, they arrested him, but now in return, what happened? That they were saluting to this president, and they are pledging their loyalty. So the scenario has changed in an opposite way. Obviously, not only Nelson Mandela, every man in South Africa with a black skin, they enjoy the moment, right? So the people also respected this great leader. They loved him, and also they believed strongly that the man who is standing there on the podium, on the stage, is going to be the representative of each one of the black from the country. So they enjoyed this entire ceremony, right? So the next one. So as I said, military's loyalty to democracy was pledged, right? It was acknowledged in front of all. And the third point is higher generals and the police saluted. And the fourth point, yeah, here comes. After this, the formation, all the displays and the performances from various military groups, the two national anthems were sung. What are those two national anthems? Right? So the national anthem for the white and the separate anthem for the black, both were sung there, because this is also an approach that both are given equal importance, or both are given equal rights, or both are going to be treated by the government equally. That was the approach for this. So none of the anthem is denied. So both the anthems were sung, and anyway, all of them, right? Even the white sung their anthem, at the same time black also tried to sing the same way. For black also, they have their separate anthem, but anyway, that was also sung, and that indicates both of them are going to be treated very equally. And so at the moment, soon after that anthem is over, again Mandela's another thought comes here. That is, he thought that neither of the groups, they knew the meaning of the words used in that anthem. He believed that nobody actually knew the real meaning of it. They were not singing by heart. Just the words were uttered, just words were sung, but the people, both the group, either black or the white, both the groups, without knowing the proper meaning of those words in the anthem, they sang it. But Mandela strongly believed that very soon, right, in near future, very soon, both the groups, they are going to sing the anthem by heart. That is, by knowing the meanings of the words, by having clear understanding about the words, they are going to sing the anthem soon. That was his strong belief at the moment. Next comes here the differences between the two decades he wants to speak about. So earlier, during the first decade of the 20th century, that is, decade means it denotes the period of 10 years. The first 10 years of the 20th century, that is, exactly speaking, between the Anglo-Boer War and the birth of Nelson Mandela. During these years, exactly, the political system started changing in South Africa. So try to understand this. During the first 10 years of 20th century, the political system in South Africa started to change. How? In what way? Actually, the white people, the people who are white skinned, they started patching up, they started creating the difference between the two races first. Slowly, gradually, that small differences burst into the bigger ones. Like officially, they started following the political difference between these two races. There, they created the patches as I said, the system apartheid itself is a political system which segregates people based on their race. So during that time, exactly during the first decade of this 20th century, only all this started. Actually, that was the initiation of this political differences, political system, where the people of South Africa were segregated by their color of their skin. So Nelson Mandela clearly remembers that moment, that stage, what happened during the first decade of the 20th century. And now, currently, he was in the last decade of 20th century. So the inauguration and that is the installation of the new democratic government is formed during the last decade of 20th century. So he wants to connect and contrast how it started and now during the last decade of this 20th century, the situation has changed quite opposite, right? So the first decade marks the initiation, that is the starting of that differences between the two races. But now again, these two races are going to be together again during the last decade of the 20th century. And also he compares what was the pain and the suffering and everything what the black people faced by the world because of the white supremacy is now it is going to be changed permanently. He believed that that is going to be a permanent change. That is very important here. It is not a temporary one. He strongly believed that it is going to be a permanent change. The government is going to make a route for that permanent change in the society. So here, during this last decade, the government has changed and the rule also changed. There is no domination now, and also earlier the black, they faced political dominance, economical dominance, everything from all aspects of the society, even from the cultural aspect also, the black people were dominated actually. But now everything is completely eradicated. He believed that it is going to be stopped. So he felt very happy for the stage that they have reached. So during this the last decade, what happened? The black people in South Africa, they were emancipated politically. That is, they achieved their liberty and freedom. They achieved their basic rights. They have acquired their equal rights along with the white. And Nelson Mandela, right, he believed from that moment onwards, the healing process, that is, the pains in the minds of the black is going to be healed gradually. If it is not going to happen very quickly, even it takes generations, but anyway the healing process is going to start from his government. He believed that. And the last one here, unimaginable sacrifices of people. So nothing is going to be achieved within a day. Right? To achieve this day, to reach this goal, many of the black-skinned people in South Africa, they struggled a lot. It was a lifetime struggle. Many of them lost their lives in the struggle. Many of them were tortured in the prisons. Many of them were killed even. Many of them were brutally attacked. Many of them experienced the brutal oppression, complete dominance by the another group. So those sacrifices helped the country to reach this status. So at this juncture, right? Nelson Mandela recollects some of the names also, that people who suffered there and who lost their lives readily with great courage and wisdom and great faith. Some of the people, they even lost their lives in their struggle. So Nelson Mandela here, he recollects those names there. And also another, he expresses his sorry, that is like he felt painful that he is unable to thank them, because many of those freedom fighters there, they lost their lives. They were killed. Some of them were. They were no more. But he felt sorry for the inability to thank them directly, and also they are not living at that time to see the liberal country, the liberal society, the liberal government formed there. So these are the 6 important points that he shared in this the beginning of this part. So here are the next 5 points that we are going to discuss here. Right? So there were many decades of oppression. The meaning of the word oppression is the great stress, physically or mentally. They are very stressed, tortured. So those many decades of continuous oppression, those the troubles they faced created great men like this. Right? Even it happened in our country, India too. As we faced the continuous dominance of the British, many of the freedom fighters came out. They fought for the freedom of India also. The same way here too, there were some people who lost their lives, who were brutally tortured. Who were taken to prison, and they spent many years in prison. Many such people lost their lives in Africa too. So what made these people great is the decades of oppression, problems, and the tortures that they faced only created the greatness of these people. Right? If you want to name these people, Oliver Tambo, Walter Sisulu, and Chief Lutuli, Yusuf Dadu, Bram Fisher, Robert Sobukwe. So even the Mandela's thought is also the same. Many have lost their lives, and now he wants to thank each and every one of them. And those greatness, right? They have come out because of one thing, that is the problems and the tortures that they faced by the white supremacy. So that was another important point that we need to highlight here. And secondly, he said, even Nelson Mandela, he recollect this point also here, that the soil, the land of South Africa, right? It has many minerals and gems underneath it. Beneath the soil, they have diamonds and many other minerals and gems. Right? Even some of the diamond mines, also, right? Many such things are there in Africa. So the point that he wants to highlight here is there were minerals and many other gems beneath the soil, but more than that all, the real wealth of South Africa is its people. So he believed that the true wealth of the soil is its people, not the gems beneath the soil. And also next point, he said he learned courage. He is a courageous person according to himself. He believed that he is a courageous man, and all that courage came from his comrades, the other members who involved themselves in the struggle against the political system apartheid. When they fought against the British supremacy, there were many such fellow participants in that struggle. So Nelson Mandela states that he learned all the courage from them. Many men, women readily they they came out readily, they fought for this, readily they lost their lives also. And the next point, yeah, according to Mandela, courage is not just the absence of fear. Generally, we believe that, and there is no fear, that state can be called as courageous, or the person can be called as courageous. But according to Mandela, courage is not just the absence of fear, but it is the absolute conquering of the fear. What he really wants to mean here is, like when there is when you don't have naturally the fear, it doesn't mean that you are very courageous. The real courage is like facing some problems with the fear. Then as you want to come out of that problem, you are coming out of that fear, you are completely conquering that fear. When you are facing against someone or something with great fear and finally overcoming it, that conquer, that victory, that success over fear is courage, right? So that was a good definition for courage from his perspective, because always a pained heart, an injured heart can come out with many philosophical thoughts. Such is his definition here about courage. And finally, yeah, man's goodness can be hidden but never extinguished. So he said, like even during the tortures that the people faced in prisons, right? They were brutally attacked and they will be tortured physically, mentally inside the prisons. And even Mandela himself spent many years in prisons only. There also, he was tortured by the police. At that time, all when he reaches the maximum point, the final point, which he believed that that is the maximum ability to withstand the pain given by them, the tortures given by them. Even during that last point also, he could see a light of humanity from the eyes of the policeman itself. Even though they torture, he was able to see the bit of humanity present in each and every one of the policemen even. So that bit of humanity made Nelson Mandela to believe strongly that they can reach their target, that they can reach equality one day. So here he wants to convey the same point. Nobody soon after their birth, they are not going to hate anyone because of their color or creed, race or religion, or for any other cultural backgrounds. We are not born with the same hatred, but later we were learned to hate someone. So anyway, it is not man's natural quality to hate someone, according to Nelson. So man's goodness, he believed that every man has some good nature. That goodness can be hidden because of some situation or because of some force or political system. They may hide their goodness, but it cannot be completely extinguished. Completely it cannot be changed, right? So you can hide your goodness for some time, but it is not the man's real quality. According to Nelson Mandela, man's nature is to love everyone. So till that bit of love prevails in the minds of human beings, the world is going to exist with peace and humanity. So here he concludes the second part with this point, right? So in the next video you can get the final part of this chapter, because it is very lengthy. So with us continuously, if we go on to complete, it is going to be very tough to understand the entire chapter. Also, you may due to boredom, you may miss out some important points also. That is why I have decided to split. Anyway, thanks for watching.